There was once a man who walked quietly through wetlands and grassy riverbanks, followed not by people, but by a small flock of geese that trusted him completely. Through patience, kindness, and an almost childlike sense of wonder, Konrad Lorenz discovered something many people spend their entire lives searching for. He found a form of connection untouched by status, language, or fear. Tonight, as the fire crackles softly in the darkness, we step into his peaceful world of flowing water, distant bird calls, and quiet companionship. Together, we will follow the gentle rhythm of wings moving through cool evening air and allow our restless thoughts to slowly settle into stillness. Late at night, when the noise of the world finally fades and only silence remains, many people still feel something unsettled inside themselves. Even after the work is done and the lights grow dim, the mind continues racing. Konrad Lorenz understood that feeling deeply. Long before modern life became consumed by endless distraction, he believed humanity had already begun drifting too far away from the natural world. As a young man growing up in Austria, Lorenz was fascinated by animals. While other children dreamed of adventure or fame, he spent hours quietly observing ducks, birds, insects, and stray animals. He noticed things most people ignored. The way a bird tilted its head before taking flight. The nervous pause of a fox emerging from tall grass at dusk. The strange calmness animals carried when they felt safe. To him, these moments revealed truths about life that humans often overlooked. Years later, that quiet fascination would lead him to one of the most famous discoveries in animal behavior. One spring morning, Lorenz found himself caring for a group of newly hatched goslings. The tiny birds opened their eyes and saw him standing nearby. From that moment on, they believed he was their parent. Wherever he walked, they followed. Across muddy paths, through wet fields, beside shallow streams reflecting the morning sun, the little geese waddled behind him in a soft chorus of chirping sounds. Villagers often stared in amusement at the unusual sight of a tall scientist moving slowly through the countryside while a flock of goslings hurried faithfully at his heels. But to Lorenz, this was far more than a scientific observation. It was something emotional, something deeply human. The goslings trusted him completely. That trust changed him. He began to understand that attachment was not limited to people alone. Beneath all living creatures existed a shared longing for safety, belonging, and connection. The more time he spent among animals, the more he realized how often humans misunderstood them. Animals were not cold machines driven only by instinct. They experienced fear, comfort, loyalty, and even affection in ways that mirrored humanity more closely than most people wanted to admit. Lorenz spent countless hours sitting quietly near lakes and marshlands, simply watching life unfold. He learned to slow his breathing and move gently enough that wild creatures no longer viewed him as a threat. In those still moments, nature revealed itself differently. A goose resting its head beneath its wing at sunset. Ripples spreading softly across dark water after a fish surfaced for air. The distant sound of migrating birds crossing the sky late at night. To Lorenz, these were not small or meaningless details. They were reminders that life moved according to rhythms older and wiser than human ambition. Many nights, he returned to his study carrying notebooks filled with observations. His workspace smelled faintly of old paper, damp earth, and feathers brought in from the outdoors. While storms rolled across Europe and political tensions shook the world beyond his windows, Lorenz remained focused on understanding the quiet emotional bonds between living creatures. The geese became more than subjects of study. They became companions. He spoke to them gently. He recognized individual personalities within the flock. Some were bold and curious. Others shy and cautious. Over time, he realized that trust itself was one of the most powerful forces in nature. An animal that feels safe begins to reveal its true self. Fear disappears. Curiosity returns. Life unfolds naturally. This idea stayed with him throughout his entire life. Even during periods of personal hardship and global conflict, Lorenz found peace beside water and open fields. The natural world gave him something modern society often could not provide. Simplicity. Honesty. Stillness. As he grew older, his hair turned white, but his fascination with life never faded. Visitors who met him later in life often described a man whose eyes still carried youthful wonder whenever birds flew overhead. He could pause in the middle of conversation simply to listen to the distant call of geese crossing the evening sky. To many people, he seemed almost old-fashioned. The world around him became louder, faster, and increasingly disconnected from nature. Yet Lorenz remained devoted to the belief that humanity could not truly understand itself while ignoring the emotional lives of other living creatures. He believed kindness toward animals reflected something essential about the human spirit. What made his work so comforting was not only the science behind it, but the tenderness beneath it. Lorenz never approached nature with arrogance. He did not see himself as a conqueror standing above the wild. Instead, he entered nature quietly, almost humbly, as if asking permission to belong there. That humility gave his writing a rare warmth. When he described geese swimming peacefully across morning water or huddling together beneath cold rain, readers could feel his affection in every sentence. He wrote not as a detached observer, but as someone who genuinely loved the living world around him. In many ways, Lorenz spent his life searching for home. Eventually, he realized home was not a place built from walls or cities. It was a feeling of connection. A quiet understanding between living beings sharing the same earth. Tonight, as the fire burns low and shadows flicker softly across the room, imagine yourself standing beside a calm wetland beneath the night sky. Cool air moves gently through tall reeds. Somewhere in the distance, geese call softly to one another as dark water reflects the moonlight like glass. Nothing rushes here. Nothing demands your attention. The world moves slowly, peacefully, exactly as it should. Konrad Lorenz spent his life listening to those quiet rhythms. Through patience and compassion, he discovered that trust can exist even across the boundaries separating species. And perhaps that is why his story still feels so comforting today. In a world filled with noise, pressure, and distance, he reminds us that peace often begins with something simple. A moment of stillness. A gentle presence beside us. The feeling that, for once, we are safe enough to let go of fear. So let the distant bird calls soften the weight inside your mind. Let the calm water carry away the tension of the day. And as the night deepens around you, may you drift gently into sleep, wrapped in the same quiet trust that once followed Konrad Lorenz across the silent marshlands beneath the stars.